Welcome back to Feel Better Daily. You didn't age 10 years in 10 months by accident. This is not normal aging. This is not just getting older. What you're experiencing is a biological shock. It has a name. It's called the estrogen cliff. And if you're over 60, you've likely felt it hit hard. Skin that suddenly feels paper thin. Dryness that no cream seems to fix. Sagging that shows up almost overnight. A face that looks unfamiliar in the mirror, even though nothing dramatic changed in your routine. That moment when you quietly ask yourself, what happened to me? Here's what matters right now. This did not happen because you failed at skincare. It did not happen because you used the wrong products. And it did not happen because age somehow won. What happened is biological, and it happens to millions of women, often without warning, during the years surrounding menopause. In a very short window of time, your body loses a critical signal that has been holding your skin together for decades. When that signal drops, collagen production doesn't slow down, it collapses. That's why this feels sudden. That's why it feels unfair. And that's why so many women blame themselves when they shouldn't. This video's not about blaming age, it's about understanding the mechanism behind what's happening in your skin, and more importantly, how to send the right biological signals back so your skin cells don't stay dormant. Before we go any further, if you care about staying strong, independent, and informed as you age, this is where I ask you to subscribe, not casually, not later. Subscribe now and turn on notifications. This channel is built specifically for seniors. We talk directly about the changes your body goes through after 60, the things that are often skipped, rushed, or brushed aside in a typical doctor's visit. If you want clear explanations, real biology, and strategies that respect where your body actually is right now, not where it was at 40, you belong here. Now, let's get into what actually happened to your skin and why this cliff exists in the first place. To understand why your skin changed so fast, you have to understand what estrogen actually does. Estrogen is not just a reproductive hormone, it is a signal, a command. For decades, estrogen has been telling specific skin cells to stay active. Those cells are called fibroblasts. Fibroblasts are the workers that keep your skin intact. They produce collagen, which gives your skin structure and lift. They also produce hyaluronic acid, which allows your skin to hold water and stay thick instead of dry and brittle. As long as estrogen is present, those cells stay awake. They keep building, they keep repairing, they keep your skin resilient. Menopause changes that signal abruptly. This is the part most women are never warned about. In the first 5 years after menopause, studies consistently show that women lose around 30% of their skin's collagen. Not gradually, not slowly. It drops fast, almost like a switch was flipped. That is why this feels like a free fall instead of normal aging. This is the estrogen cliff. When estrogen drops, fibroblasts don't slowly retire. They shut down. They go quiet. Collagen production collapses and hyaluronic acid levels fall with it. The result is skin that suddenly feels thinner, drier, and less supported almost everywhere at once. And here is another detail that explains why the face seems to change faster than the rest of the body. Your facial skin contains a much higher concentration of estrogen receptors than the skin on your arms or legs. When estrogen disappears, the area with the most receptors feels the loss first and the hardest. That's why your face often looks like it aged years ahead of the rest of you. This is not because your face is weaker, it's because it was more dependent on that signal to begin with. Now, here's the critical distinction you need to hear clearly. Your skin cells did not die. They didn't break, they didn't fail, they lost their instruction. Fibroblasts don't disappear after menopause. They go dormant. They are still there, waiting for a signal strong enough to tell them to get back to work. That distinction changes everything, because if the problem were dead cells, there would be nothing to do. But this is a signaling problem, and signaling problems can be addressed. Once you understand that your skin didn't age overnight, it simply lost its biological instruction manual, the rest of this conversation starts to make sense. Here is where the conversation shifts from damage to control. Once you understand that your skin cells are dormant, not dead, the next question becomes obvious. What signal can wake them back up? This is where phytoestrogens come in. And this part matters because there is a lot of confusion around this word. Phytoestrogens are not hormones. They are not replacing estrogen. They are not overriding your biology. They are signal mimics. Your skin cells don't require massive hormonal force to work. They respond to recognition. They respond to shape. Estrogen used to bind to specific receptors on fibroblasts and tell them to stay active. When estrogen disappeared, those receptors stayed empty. The factory shut down. Phytoestrogens are plant compounds shaped closely enough to estrogen that they can fit into those receptors and deliver a message, not a command. A signal enough to tell the cell, you are still needed. Enough to reopen the collagen factory at a biologically safe level. This is not about pushing your body back to 40. It is about preventing unnecessary shutdown at 60 and beyond. That distinction is critical. Your fibroblasts are not broken. They are waiting. And this is what I refer to as the Phyto boost. The Phyto boost is not a supplement. It is not a pill. It is a strategy. It is the deliberate use of plant-based signals to reintroduce the instructions your skin lost during the estrogen cliff. Signals that your body recognizes. Signals that do not force growth, but allow function to resume. And this is where I need to pause and be very direct with you. If you are over 60 and no one has ever explained this to you before, that alone tells you something. This is not fringe biology. This is not experimental thinking. This is basic signaling science that is rarely discussed with aging women. If you want to understand what is actually happening inside your body as you age and how to respond without guessing or blaming yourself, you need to be subscribed to this channel. Not casually, not later. Subscribe now. This information is specifically for seniors. It is for people who don't have time for vague advice or surface-level explanations. And once you understand signaling, you stop chasing products and start making decisions that actually change outcomes. Now, let's talk about the first and most studied phytoestrogen signal that can reach those dormant fibroblasts. This is where the science becomes very concrete. Among all known phytoestrogens, soy stands out for one reason: its structure. Soy contains compounds called isoflavones, and the most important one for your skin is genistein. Genistein is shaped remarkably close to estrogen, not similar in effect, similar in form. Your skin cells don't read labels. They respond to shape and fit. On the surface of your fibroblasts are estrogen receptors. Think of them as locks that were designed for one specific key. For decades, estrogen fit into those locks and kept the collagen factory running. When estrogen disappeared, the lock stayed empty. Production shut down. Genistein can slide into that same lock. Not forcefully, not aggressively. It doesn't hit the receptor with the strength of your body's natural hormone. And that is exactly why it matters. This weaker signal is enough to activate the receptor without overstimulation, enough to tell the fibroblast that it is still expected to function, enough to restart collagen production at a biologically appropriate level for your age. This is not replacement therapy. This is receptor activation through recognition, and that distinction protects you. Now here's where many people go wrong. They hear soy and immediately think extremes, too much, too concentrated, too aggressive. That is not what the biology supports. What matters is consistency, not excess. Whole soy foods provide a steady, moderate stream of genistein that your skin can respond to over time. Edamame, tofu, and tempeh deliver these signals in their natural context alongside fiber and other protective compounds. This is not about eating large amounts. It is about repeated exposure to the signal. A few servings per week send a reminder to your fibroblasts that the factory is not permanently closed. Month after month, that signal accumulates. This is why women who incorporate whole soy foods consistently often notice that their skin stops feeling paper thin. It doesn't tighten overnight. It doesn't reverse years in weeks. What changes first is substance. The skin begins to feel more supported, less fragile, less collapsible. That is the receptor doing its job again. And if this sounds subtle, understand this. Biology does not respond to force. It responds to repetition. Genistein doesn't shout at your cells, it reminds them. And in the context of the estrogen cliff, that reminder can make the difference between continued collapse and gradual stabilization. Soy is not the only signal your skin responds to. There is another one that becomes even more important after 60, and it works through a different mechanism. That signal comes from flaxseed. Flaxseed contains compounds called lignans. Lignans are a different class of phytoestrogens than soy isoflavones. They do not behave the same way. They do not target the same receptors with the same strength. But together with omega-3 fatty acids, they solve a problem that estrogen loss creates and skincare alone cannot fix. After menopause, your skin doesn't just lose collagen, it loses its barrier. The outer layer of your skin becomes porous. Water escapes faster than it can be held. This is called transepidermal water loss. And this is why so many women say the same thing. I drink water all day and my skin is still dry. The problem is not hydration coming in, the problem is leakage going out. Omega-3 fatty acids help repair the lipid structure between skin cells. They reinforce the mortar between the bricks. Without that mortar, moisture evaporates no matter how much water you drink. Flaxseed does double duty here. The lignans provide a mild estrogen-like signal that supports skin cell communication. The omega-3s repair the barrier that allows that signal to actually translate into visible change. When the barrier is repaired, water stays where it belongs. Inside the skin, this is where texture changes before appearance. Skin begins to feel less papery, less brittle, less like it might crease permanently from simple movement. Now, the way you use flaxseed matters. Whole flax seeds pass straight through your body. They are not absorbed. They must be ground. 1 tablespoon of ground flaxseed per day is enough to deliver both lignans and omega-3s consistently. More is not better. Consistency is what matters. Ground flaxseed can be added to oatmeal, yogurt, or smoothies. Once ground, it should be stored cold. Because the oils oxidize quickly. This is not a cosmetic fix. This is structural support. When the skin barrier improves, everything else you do works better. Moisturizers stop disappearing. Hydration lasts longer. The skin regains the ability to hold volume instead of collapsing into dryness. If your skin has felt thin, tight, and fragile no matter how much lotion you apply, this is why. The issue was never surface moisture. It was barrier failure. And without repairing that barrier, no amount of water intake can solve the problem. Flaxseed doesn't promise youth. It restores function. And after the estrogen cliff, function is what keeps skin from continuing to deteriorate. Up to this point, we've talked about how to send the right signals back to your skin. Now, we have to talk about what is actively destroying those signals every single day if you're not careful. And the first destroyer is sugar. This is not about calories. This is not about weight. This is not a cosmetic issue. This is biochemical damage. When sugar enters your bloodstream, it doesn't just provide energy. It binds to proteins. Collagen is a protein. When sugar attaches to collagen fibers, it triggers a process called glycation. The end products of that process are called AGEs, Advanced Glycation End Products. The name is not a coincidence. Glycated collagen changes structure. It becomes stiff, brittle, inflexible. Think about what happens when sugar caramelizes. It hardens, it loses elasticity. That is exactly what happens inside your skin. Healthy collagen behaves like a flexible rubber band. Glycated collagen behaves like a dry stick. It snaps instead of stretches. This is where deep sagging and creasing come from. Not because your skin is weak, but because its structural proteins have been chemically altered. And after menopause, your skin has almost no defense left against this process. Estrogen used to offer protection. Once that protection is gone, sugar damage accelerates. That's why the phenomenon known as sugar sag is very real, especially after 60. Every spike in refined sugar increases collagen rigidity. Over time, this damage accumulates. Now let's talk about the second destroyer, stress. Chronic stress doesn't just affect your mood, it changes how your body allocates raw materials. Your body produces hormones from a shared pool of precursors. When stress levels rise, your system prioritizes survival. Those precursors get diverted away from estrogen and progesterone production and toward cortisol. This is called the cortisol steal. And cortisol is not neutral. Cortisol is catabolic. It breaks tissue down. High cortisol thins skin. It accelerates collagen loss. It weakens structural integrity even further. So while menopause reduces estrogen supply, stress actively steals what little backup production remains. This is a double hit. Less rebuilding, more breakdown. And this is why chronic stress shows up on the face faster than almost anything else. This is not psychological, it is metabolic. Your body cannot rebuild when it is stuck in defense mode. If the alarm is constantly sounding, construction stops, repair stops, maintenance stops. This is not about relaxation for comfort. This is about preventing continued biological erosion. Sugar and stress do not make you look older. They chemically accelerate tissue degradation. And unless they are addressed, no amount of collagen support can fully hold. Once you understand that these forces are actively dismantling your skin from the inside, the urgency becomes clear. You are not fighting wrinkles. You are protecting structure. At this point, there's one mistake that quietly cancels everything we've talked about so far: sending the signal without delivering the materials. You can wake fibroblasts up, you can reduce destruction, but without the right delivery systems, collagen still doesn't get built. And the first non-negotiable delivery factor is vitamin C. This is not optional biology. Without vitamin C, collagen cannot form. Your body cannot assemble stable collagen fibers without it. The process fails at the molecular level. After 60, absorption efficiency drops slightly. That means you don't just need vitamin C present. You need reliable, high-quality sources. Bell peppers, berries, and citrus provide vitamin C in a form your body recognizes immediately. A red bell pepper delivers more usable vitamin C than an orange without the sugar spike that accelerates glycation. Without vitamin C, collagen attempts are weak, unstable, short-lived. This is why some people take collagen and see nothing change. The cofactor was missing. Now let's talk about fats, because this is where decades of fear-based advice caused real damage. Your skin cells are surrounded by lipid membranes. Those membranes control what enters the cell and what leaves. When membranes become rigid, nutrient delivery slows. Waste removal slows. Signals don't transmit efficiently. Healthy fats keep those membranes flexible. Olive oil and avocados supply monounsaturated fats that maintain membrane fluidity. They allow vitamin C, phytoestrogen signals, and repair materials to actually enter the cell. Low-fat eating taken too far dries skin from the inside. It weakens cellular function. Skin doesn't just need building blocks, it needs doors that open. Finally, none of this works without circulation. Blood is the delivery truck. If circulation is sluggish, nutrients never reach the surface of the skin where repair is happening. Gentle movement matters here. Not intense workouts, not exhaustion. Walking, light swimming, or steady movement opens capillaries in the skin. It forces oxygen and nutrients into areas that otherwise remain underfed. That healthy flush after movement is not cosmetic, it is delivery in action. Signals only matter if they arrive. Materials only matter if they're transported. Vitamin C builds, healthy fats open access, circulation completes the system. Without delivery, repair stalls. At this stage, there is another misunderstanding that quietly sabotages skin repair. Hydration is not just about water. You can drink large amounts of water and still have dry, collapsing skin. That is not a contradiction. It is physiology. Water does not move into cells on its own. It requires minerals. Electrolytes are what pull water into the cell and keep it there. Without them, water passes through your system without ever hydrating tissue. After 60, thirst signals weaken. You don't feel thirsty even when your cells are dehydrated. And when mineral intake is low, hydration becomes inefficient. This is why skin can remain tight and papery despite doing everything right. Hydration that counts is electrolyte dependent. Minerals allow water to penetrate tissue instead of running off it. When hydration finally reaches the cell, volume returns. Skin holds shape instead of collapsing. Now, we have to talk about the factor that quietly destroys this entire process. Alcohol. Alcohol is a diuretic. It pushes water out of your system at the exact stage of life when your skin struggles to retain moisture. Alcohol accelerates dehydration. But dehydration is not the only issue. Alcohol metabolizes into sugar. That feeds glycation, the same chemical process that stiffens and weakens collagen. And the most damaging effect happens at night. Alcohol disrupts sleep architecture. It fragments deep sleep. Deep sleep is when your body releases growth hormone. Growth hormone is one of the few repair hormones that remains active later in life. When sleep is broken, that repair window closes. You can eat perfectly. You can hydrate all day and still lose ground if nighttime repair is interrupted. This is why the night repair window matters so much. Skin does not rebuild while you are awake. It rebuilds when your nervous system powers down and repair hormones rise. Alcohol delays that process, shortens it, sometimes eliminates it entirely. This is not about indulgence or morality. It is about biology. If you are waking up at 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the morning, that repair window was compromised and the skin pays the price. Repair only happens when the conditions are right. Hydration must reach the cell, and nighttime repair must be protected. Without those two, recovery stalls. Let's bring this together clearly and without confusion. The estrogen cliff is not the end of the road. It is a change in terrain. When estrogen dropped, your skin didn't fail. It lost a signal. That loss shut down collagen production, weakened hydration, and exposed your skin to accelerated damage. Not because your body stopped working, but because the instructions changed. What you've learned here is how to respond to that change. Phytoestrogens act as replacement signals. They do not force your biology, they remind it. They reopen communication with fibroblasts that never died, only went dormant. At the same time, preventing destruction matters just as much as stimulation. Sugar and chronic stress chemically damage collagen. Alcohol disrupts hydration and blocks nighttime repair. These are not cosmetic concerns, they are structural. When destruction is reduced and delivery systems are restored, signals can finally do their job. Vitamin C enables collagen assembly. Healthy fats keep cell membranes open. Circulation delivers materials where repair is happening. Electrolytes allow hydration to stay inside the skin. This is not about chasing youth. It is about stabilizing function. You are not broken. Your body is not finished. Biology responds when it receives the correct input, and that remains true well past 60. If this explanation clarified things you've never had explained before, that is exactly why this channel exists. Subscribe now, not casually. Subscribe because this channel focuses on real biological changes after 60, not surface advice or vague reassurance. Turn on notifications so you don't miss conversations that directly affect your independence and function as you age. And if you're part of this senior community, leave a comment. Share where you're watching from or which part of this discussion connected with your experience. Your insight helps others realize they're not alone in these changes and that understanding biology gives them leverage. The estrogen cliff changes the terrain. It does not remove the path forward. This is Feel Better Daily.